Welcome to our first of two main events for this episode. We're going to do another edition of Superstar Scores. If you're unfamiliar with what that segment is, that's where we take a wrestler, or really we could do kind of like anybody, I guess, and try to apply them, but it's mostly going to stick with wrestlers, of course.
Can we do Connor the Crusher?
I don't know about that one. We'll have to ask Justin Roberts if we can.
Okay.
We take them and we rate them on a 0 to 10 scale on 10 different categories. Final score of 100 is what they're trying to get. Obviously, 100 is the best and 0 is the worst. But these 5 umbrella categories have 2 different categories inside them. We try to break down everything from a superstar and just see what they rank compared to the other ones. This is our 10th edition. And we've gotten a wide range of different people. We had some on the jobber side, like the Bob Holly-ish kind of guys, and the mid-carders, and we even had Santino for one edition, I think. Obviously, one of the people towards the top is Shawn Michaels and Triple H and those kind of things, but we're doing something a little bit different now. This is our first diva. We're going to do this based on AJ Lee now that she's retired, and Drew had asked us ahead of time, and I figured I would throw it out there for everybody to know. He said, are we ranking them based off of the same kind of criterion for each category? And yeah, that's true for the men. It's the same thing. You know, if we're going to go with the equality thing, then it should be the same type of package wrapped up in the same superstar. So athleticism, psychology, that kind of stuff, it all applies the same way. There's not going to be like a bunch of gimmies and different things like that. So keep that in mind. But we're going to do this in a circular kind of pattern here. We're going to go the 5 main categories and the 2 inside of them and go person to person. So first up is ring skills, athleticism, and psychology. Athleticism is based on the moveset that they have, their finisher. Can they do a wide variety of moves, or do they botch them? And psychology is their storytelling abilities. Can they sell their injuries in the ring? Do they seem to keep the audience's attention, or do they just get boring and stuff? So who wants to go first on ring skills? Too bad, I'm going to just assign somebody. Wago, you go first.
I don't want to do it. So athleticism, I've given AJ Lee a 6. She's average. She doesn't do anything more impressive than any of the divas other than her cool finisher, and that isn't enough to give her a high score. Psychology, I'm going to give her a 6 too, because I haven't seen her in a long enough match where I can give her anything higher than that. The little few times that she has gone a little longer than usual, she's not done anything to wow me, so that's what I got for her, 6 and 6.
Peyton, what about you?
For athleticism, I actually gave her a pretty good score. I gave her an 8. It has nothing to do necessarily with the fact that she's not doing any like flippy flips, because it's not all about that. It's more about her conditioning. I mean, I've never seen this girl look like winded or like she's having a hard time keeping up with what she's doing. She still does some pretty impressive stuff. I mean, she does leaps off the top every once in a while. She does some really cool moves that you don't see any other divas do. I mean, of course, her finisher is awesome, but she's done other things as well. Yeah, she always looks good out there as far as that respect. So I give her an 8 for that. Psychology, I give her a 7. She's nothing super special, but she's always done a fine job. I can't think of any points in a match where I'm like, oh, what are you doing, AJ? Do this right. She's usually pretty good at remembering to sell a body part if it's been hurt at a certain point or anything like that.
Sean, what do you give her for ring skills?
For ring skills, I've given her a 6 because I think all the other divas that are currently on the main roster are kind of sucky, and she's just stood out because of that reason. If she was down at NXT, I think she would have struggled a bit more. But that's just my opinion. I can't remember what her other finisher was besides the Black Widow before she had that. So that's another
Shining
reason.
Wizard.
Yeah, then yeah, that's not a great special back in the day.
She just used it recently.
But Black Widow is alright. I wouldn't be able to do it. I doubt anybody on this panel would be able to do it.
I would try it with her.
I'd let her do it onto me.
I don't know, once I figured out how to do the move, I'd be able to, like, perform it. It's not
I
hard.
wouldn't mind tapping that ass. And for psychology, I've also given her a 6 because women's wrestling is women's wrestling, and I'm not invested in women's wrestling unless it's like big things that are going on. Like down at NXT, I watch the women's wrestling because I'm invested. When it comes to the main roster, it's like, ugh, fill a break. I don't give a fuck.
So I'm going with, I think, the same scores here as Peyton, an 8 for athleticism and a 7 for psychology. Pretty good conditioning in the ring, like Peyton had said. I like her Black Widow finisher. I think that she's done a lot of moves better than a lot of divas do. A lot of them, they try to do their clotheslines and they try to do their drop kicks and stuff like that, and that's one of the things I criticize the divas on a lot, because they just look terrible. And AJ doesn't look as bad when she's doing that. I think that she's definitely one of the more athletic ones that they've had in a while. Especially when you compare her to, like, the more model-y types that kind of stay just, like, firmly planted in the ring. And even when it comes to, like, taking a bump, like, if they get somebody that punches them and they're supposed to fall down, they kind of, like, they fall down differently. And AJ just goes for it.
The worst is when they go into the turnbuckles.
Oh,
Those
God,
people
and they
are,
slow
like,
down so much.
Terrified of the turnbuckles.
Mm-hmm. They slow down, like, considerably beforehand and then just kind of, like, back up and sit down. I hate that. AJ Lee, she throws herself into the corner because she knows that she has to, Psychology, same kind of statements as what everybody else had said. Women's wrestling doesn't really have a whole lot of psychology to it, so she doesn't get, like, a lot of a playground to mess around with, but yeah, she knows what she's doing, and she's better at that than a lot of the other ones are, that's for sure. But that moves us on to the, not the ring skills, we just did that, the mic skills, charisma and character. Charisma is more so about their promo cutting skills, whether they're stuttering or they're repetitive or they can keep things fresh, but the character is the gimmick themselves. Are they good as a heel, good as a face? Are they an interesting character, somebody that the fans can actually care what happens to them, or are they just like the bland nobody that is filling up space? I'll go first on this one with Al. Charisma, I gave her a 7. She's a decent talker, and, she can handle herself, but there's something about AJ's promos that always threw me off a little bit. Sometimes, no, I shouldn't say sometimes, more often than not, when she's cutting a promo, she seems like she's really nervous to me. Like, just her delivery and, like, not like a stuttery kind of mix to it, but like, I don't know, like she's trying to remember her line or something. It's not, horrible. It's not something to really pay too much attention to, but it's enough that I couldn't justify giving her like a, 10 or anything like that. Still gets a positive score though. And her character, I give her a 9 for that. That's actually going to be, I think, the biggest score that I gave her out of this whole thing, because her character has pretty much always been entertaining. She was a cute little spunky girl in NXT, and I liked that. That was fine. Then she started going crazy, and she worked her way up to being the general manager and being somebody who is a featured star on Monday Night Raw in such a short amount of time. She had some of the biggest stories going on with her, and that was just because she was entertaining as a character. So she definitely gets a 9 from me. Especially when so many divas have no character whatsoever. Like, what is fucking Eva Marie's character other than a bitch? Or what is... Hell, what's Layla been for the longest time? So, in comparison to that, she definitely gets a higher score. Who wants to go next?
I'll take it, I suppose. For charisma, I gave AJ Lee an 8. The girl, I think, is one of the best talkers they have around. I've never picked up on whatever you're talking about, Tony. She's always seemed very confident to me. She's always been able to hang in there no matter who she's with. I mean, honestly, I think she's the only other female who was able to go toe-to-toe with Stephanie in the ring on the mic. And when they teased that, that was awesome. People got so into that when they were out there for that moment. Was around SummerSlam last year, I think that was. So I think she's definitely high up on there. Definitely the best diva they had in the company. I think she could hang in there with any male. I'm judging that equally. I still say she would be an 8, judged on an equal plane. On a character, I also have to give her a 9. Near perfect. This girl just came up with this excellent character that crossed out of the Divas division, got her into main event spots with John Cena, Kane, Daniel Bryan, all these big names that she got herself involved with. She became the GM with it. She evolved herself through it too. I mean, think about it. When she first came in, she was doing that geeky gamer girl type thing. And she evolved into the crazy chick, and she always kind of did the crazy chick from there, but she did it in different variations, including she came out dancing in a Kane outfit. That was fun. So
including backstage. Does anybody else want to go?
Oh no, you just said something and no one responded. It got really awkward in here. Like, you're just gonna look at the fucking audio clip and it's just gonna be dead air. So as far as charisma goes, I've given her a 7. Solid mic skills, knows how to drop a decent promo. Nothing that's revolutionary though, nothing that's gonna make me go, oh man, I remember AJ Lee. But a 7's a good score. As far as her character goes, it's evolved a lot. She started and she deserves all the credit in the world for that. I think she's had more evolution than probably any diva on the current roster. She started off as that nerdy girl, ended up becoming a psycho bitch. But taking into account her entire character and where it is now, I'm only going to give her a 7, just because she hit her peak relatively fast and it came and went just as quick. I say her hype with that whole character was the CM Punk Daniel Bryan thing. But after that, she kind of just fell flat. So I'm not going to give her an 8. She gets a 7.
My turn. Yay. For charisma, I've given her a 7.5. And reason being is because towards the end, towards the middle of her career, I think CM Punk started writing her promos a bit more. Like the promo where she started bitching about the Divas division, where she was like, "Do I have your attention now?" Blah 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 blah. So I give her a 7.5 for that. For her character, like the rest of you guys have said, her character was, look at me, I'm a gamer girl, it's a crazy chick. And I've given her an 8 for character development, where she could have gone backwards because of the gamer geek thing, but she didn't. She progressed into further her career. So I've given her an 8 for that.
That moves us on to appearance, physique, and entrance. Physique's pretty self-explanatory. What do they look like? Are they out of shape? That kind of stuff. Does it fit their gimmick? And entrance, that includes everything. The pyro, the music, whatever actions that they do during that. It's all in one big package. So physique, I gave her an 8. She's very, very fit. She's small, so that takes a little bit away from her. But she never stopped being fit. In fact, she probably got better and better as time went on. Some people, they get their little phases where they gain a little bit of weight. They lose a little bit of weight. They look better here, worse here, that kind of thing. AJ, she was fit from the very beginning, and she stayed that way up until, you could look at her now, and she's exactly the same. So, 8 for that one. Entrance, I gave her a 7, though. Actually, that might even be a little bit too generous. I like her music fits her. They don't have any pyro. They don't have any extra kind of stuff going on. The skipping to the ring's kind of decent. That caught on with her, but I don't know. I would like a little bit more. What do you guys think about appearance?
So for appearance, I've got a 7 on physique. She's pretty, but I believe I can walk down the street, pick anyone off it, and they can probably kick AJ Lee's ass. And so she gets a 7 for physique. I think it's a solid rating, but I know a lot of people consider her drop dead gorgeous, but she's got the girl next door appeal, but nothing more. That's my thought. Entrance, she skips. Neat. 6.
For physique, I gave her an 8. She has always been in excellent shape. She's actually, in the last, I would say 5 years or so, she's probably been the diva in the best shape, except for maybe Beth Phoenix. She has like the perfect amount of muscle without it looking like she has man arms or anything like that. She has like just slightly defined abs without looking like, I don't know, you could like
Great cheese.
great cheese. Yeah, we'll go with that. She's pretty much had a perfect build her entire career. The girl took care of herself, so I'm gonna give her an 8 for that. Her entrance, I'll give her a 6. It was nothing offensive. She found her niche with the skipping thing. I actually loved that when that first came around, when she would just started doing that in the middle of matches. Like Kane would be having a match and she would just come out and skip around the ring. It was funny. She held on to that for her entire career. So good for you. You know, a lot of people will struggle to find an identity with something like that. So at least you got that. So definitely above average with a 6.
And Sean?
Last but not least, the pervert. You know, I've given her an 8.5 for her appearance.
I bet you want to give her 8.5. You know what I'm saying?
I would, but then CM Punk kick my ass. But but yeah, she was very tightly packaged. You know, she was all tight in the right places. The reason why she's not higher up on the list is because I can get past her face.
What?
So
She's got that Puerto Rican face, and I imagine they don't have many Puerto Rican girls over there.
no,
I
but
think her face is adorable.
Depends on the angle.
round for me.
I've seen some weird pictures of her face.
And for her entrance, I've given her a 5.5 because I like the song, and it's like one of my most played songs on my music list.
I could totally sit there picturing you like
My
at the
playlist,
computer
yeah.
playing Minecraft, listening to that.
I don't know.
And yes, like Wago says, she skips. It's her thing.
Backstage, professionalism and marketability. There's a little bit of crossover when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's a little confusing, but essentially professionalism is their behind-the-scenes locker room ideas. Do they get bogged down in the politics? Do they put people over? Do they screw people over? That kind of thing. Marketability is their ability to go out there and be a good representative for WWE. If they have lots of issues going on where they are like a danger kind of to throw out there, like this is kind of a bad example, but like Jack Swagger, he has had multiple arrests. That's going to hurt him in that scenario. Or R-Truth not being able to go to certain places because of his background, and that is obviously a deduction, but it also incorporates different things that they do to promote the company, like charities and talk shows and their image for the company, essentially. We gave her a 6 and an 8. Professionalism gets a downgrade when it comes to that Michelle Beadle situation. That just should not happen. Other than that, I don't really know too much about her doing anything bad. I mean, she lost matches, she won matches, so it seems like that's pretty average. Marketability, she gets an 8 for that, though, for me, because she has done her share of charities and Make-A-Wish things and stuff like that. She's not the top of the divas, which is going to be Natalya. She just does shit constantly. So if you compare her to like a Natalya or a John Cena, that's pretty much a 10. She can't get that. But she does do her own stuff. She puts out a good persona, and judging by even like the thing with Conor the Crusher, they had that little set of footage with her talking to him and everything. So she gets points for that. An 8's pretty good for me, I think. What do you guys think? Professionalism and marketability.
Professionalism, I give her a 4, and she's only kind of proved to be a hassle than anything else. The Michelle Beadle issue was out there for a while. That painted her in a bad light, and then she's the first of anyone to like ever call out WWE on anything on social media. So I don't know. I'm sure whilst it's probably minor petty stuff to us, I'm sure she can be considered like someone that's a thorn in their side. Marketability 7. She's like one of the higher tier divas. She's well spoken. Knows how to communicate well. She's not too hard to deal with from a PR standpoint, so yeah.
For professionalism, I gave her a 5. There's a number of notable incidents. They've already been mentioned or people know about them. And just in general, she seemed like a kind of person that just didn't really get along with many people on the roster, like female or male. She seemed like the kind of person who was probably really introverted, kept to herself, only talked to the people she wanted to. I know she was BFFs with Caitlyn. I'm sure there were a couple other people she got along with really well, but for the most part, she probably kept her distance from a lot of people and probably didn't try too hard to do things with them or anything like that. For marketability, though, I gave her a 10. This girl was a perfect person to have as a representative of your female division, and even as a representative of the company. I mean, I think of when I see banners for WWE in the last number of years, she was up there with John Cena and CM Punk or Daniel Bryan or The Rock or whoever the other person was. It's AJ who's put in that spot. So she's been someone who has been a major part of their package they've been going through the last number of years, and rightfully so. She's a beautiful girl. She's clean. She's athletic. She's top of the division. She was perfect for it, every way for it.
What do you mean by clean exactly? Is it kind of like how if you licked Paige, it should probably taste like an ashtray? That's what I get from her.
Sadly, I kind of know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I mean, she's not like a Sunny.
Okay.
Yeah, people can Google her and not be worried about what the kids see.
Yeah.
I love how that you immediately agree with me about the lick in the ashtray.
Like, maybe not even necessarily an ashtray, but something along those lines. Something that would be, like, an aftertaste.
She seems smoky. I don't know why.
Sean, what do you
She's
give her
smoking hot.
for backstage stuff?
Backstage stuff, I given her a 5, like for the same reasons why you guys have mentioned, because of all the mix up with the whole Michelle Beadle incident and everything. Marketability, she did her stuff for charity. She went to events. She was one of the main divas for everything. So I give her an 8 for that.
And lastly, we have crowd reaction, popularity and credibility. Popularity is pretty simple: merchandise sales, Twitter followers, cheers and boos, ratings, that kind of stuff. Credibility goes to their status in a kayfabe sense. Is that somebody who you think is a main eventer or a future legend, top of the tier? Or are they just kind of a piece of shit jobber? Because even though that's, a lot of this stuff is not necessarily kayfabe, that does have a huge factor into that. So I give her an 8 for both. She was very, very popular, extremely popular. One of the most popular people that was going for a while there. And supposedly her merchandise sales were doing, equally as well. I don't know about that, obviously. I don't have the numbers, but a lot of people were claiming that AJ Lee was among the top sellers during her peak. So that speaks volumes. Credibility, though, she won the title multiple times. People are already saying that she's got a Hall of Fame-worthy career, and that is all you got to say that she has credibility. She's short, sure. She's tiny. Somebody like a Caitlyn can stand next to her and look like she could beat the living shit out of her. But, we've got Daniel Bryan winning matches against Batista, so why can't we have AJ Lee winning a match against Caitlyn?
And again, you hear people that say that can't buy into Daniel Bryan. True.
That's true.
Yeah, fuck Drew.
Yep.
As far as what I gave her, crowd reaction, I gave her a 7. She gets a solid pop, and I'd probably give her an 8 if she could escape the CM Punk chance. Credibility, I give 7. From a kayfabe perspective, she can hang with anyone in her division. Again, I still think it really hurts her that I can walk down my street, pluck someone off there, and they can kick AJ Lee's ass.
Peyton?
Popularity, I gave her a 9. The CM Punk thing wasn't a thing until her last runs. I mean, that wasn't her fault. I mean, the CM Punk thing just took over. There's nothing she could have done to that. It was her husband.
It's not her fault, but in the end of the day,
it's her husband.
So it's up to
her
her
husband.
to figure
There's
out how to
nothing.
come over it.
There's nothing she could have done to have gotten away from that. It's her husband.
I know there's
nothing.
but
Absolutely nothing she could have
still on
done
her.
to make them stop chanting that. Nothing at all. As I said before, she was brought up to the main event scene. You're talking about the fact that she had high merchandise sales, the fact that she had any merchandise sales. She was the first diva, and I think it was something like over 5 years to even have any merch. So that alone speaks huge about her. The girl was a huge, huge star. Did she have any like crossover stuff? I can't think of any crossover stuff that she did at that point. I guess now she's starting to get into the crossover stuff, and I guess that only add to her stardom. So yeah, I gave her a 9 for that. Credibility, I gave her an 8. People have a lot of respect for her in every capacity. I mean, people think she's beautiful. People think she's excellent in the ring. She has a very ardent fan base. So no one's really going to argue much about with that. So I'm giving her an 8.
And Sean, round us out.
Crowd reaction, I've given her a 7. Like everybody has said about the whole CM Punk chance thing, I think she could have done something to combat that, like mention it or something. And credibility, I'd give her another solid 7. It is what it is. She sold shirts at the end of the day. Too many S's there for me to say. But yeah, I thought she was pretty awesome. I would have bought one of her shirts if I could have. But, shipping.
I bet her shit actually sold really well on Hot Topic. She seems like the type of person that could cater to that audience pretty well. I don't know. Maybe Paige, Glampire.
Yeah, I think Paige could probably get more. What do you give her for credibility, though?
Credibility, I give her a 7.
So, if we figure out the tally that we've all got here, I deducted 1 point from something from earlier. I can't remember what it was now. But, so I balance out to a 75 out of 100, which is still...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's still really good. I think it's still the number 3 highest ranked out of all the Superstar scores so far. Triple H, I gave the number 2 spot, and Shawn Michaels says number 1, because Shawn Michaels is fucking man. But that's, above Ultimate Warrior. It's above RVD. It's above, some pretty impressive people. It's above, I think, even Mick Foley. So, for somebody who really likes Mick Foley, that's quite a bit. Peyton, what's your final score?
Dun, dun, dun.
My final score was a 78. A little bit higher than you, Tony. I don't have all the ones I've ever did, but of all the ones that I have here in my notes, she is the second highest. The only one that scored higher than her was Ultimate Warrior, and only by 1. He was a 79. But she did beat Steve Blackman, Santino Marella, and I think most impressively, Roman Reigns.
That's true. Yeah, she beats out Roman Reigns for me, too.
To be fair, my Steve Blackman beat out Roman Reigns.
What's your final score, Wego?
I got 64 for this one. And it means she's above average to me, and I've never really considered her anything special, so score makes perfect sense to me.
And Sean, what's yours?
I gave her a solid 68.5. And I would say that's above average. Like I said, I thought she was a bit overrated.
A solid 68 and a half.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't bump it up to 69 just to be like, 69, I gave her a 69.
I was like, did you do that on purpose, Sean? Because that seemed a little too well planned for you, for your personality.
Well, between the 4 of us, that balances out to an average of a 71 score. Not bad at all. That's a passing grade. So, tell us what you guys think she should be ranked at. Give your ratings for each of these categories below in the comments, or you can leave a comment on the actual article itself on smarkoutmoment.com. We have one more main event that we're going to do for the last part of this episode, so stay tuned, everybody. It's time for the mail.